Pain, we all deal with it, right? Whether it's a sore back from sitting too long or something a lot more chronic. But what if the way we naturally try to handle pain is, well, actually making it worse? So in this explainer, we're going to look at a really powerful and kind of counterintuitive way to face pain straight on, inspired by the teachings of Thanissaro Bhikkhu.
And this, right here, is the central question we're digging into. Just think about it for a second. There's the actual physical sensation happening in your body, but then there's this whole other layer of mental stuff, the frustration, the anger, the suffering, that we just pile right on top. So why do we do that? And I guess the bigger question is, do we have to?
Okay, so to answer that, we first have to talk about the trap we almost always fall into. When we're stuck with a pain we can't get away from, our minds tend to go down two very predictable and honestly pretty unhelpful roads.
It's like our default settings are basically fight or flight. We either try to distract ourselves, run away from the feeling, or we tense up and try to push it out, resisting it with everything we've got. And look, maybe that works for a second.
But here's the thing. What happens in those situations where you can't actually go anywhere and the pain isn't going anywhere either? Think about a long meditation retreat or maybe dealing with a chronic illness. When running and fighting are just not options, well, you've got to find a third way.
And that third way, it's all about developing insight. But, and this is key, we're not talking about waiting for some magical lightning bolt of understanding to strike you. It's way more practical than that. It's about treating insight like a skill, something you actively work on and build over time.
See, insight is a process. It's kind of like learning a craft, like making a basket or working with silver. You try something, you watch what happens. You try something else, you observe the result. It's this whole series of small, gradual discoveries about how your own mind is actually working.
I love this quote because it just nails the difference. The goal here isn't to just grit your teeth and endure the pain. That's totally passive. As Ajahn Chah says, if that's all it took, well, the chickens would have figured it out ages ago. The whole point is to actually be with the pain, so you can start looking into it, really investigating it.
So, okay, how do you do that? How do you actively investigate pain? Well, the main tool is simple. It's curiosity. And you use that curiosity by asking very specific kinds of questions.
A question is an amazing tool because it's like putting a frame around your perception. You know how changing the frame on a picture can totally change how you see it? It's the same idea. Asking a question changes how you experience the sensation. Suddenly, you're not just a passive victim of the pain anymore. You become an active observer.
So, here's a great question to start with. Usually, when you feel pain, your mind just slaps one big label on it. My back hurts. It feels like this one solid, massive thing. But is it really? Or, if you look closer, is it actually a whole bunch of little, tiny, shifting bits of sensation? When you start really looking for the bits, that big, solid mass often starts to break apart.
Okay, and here's another one to try. Does that pain stay in one exact spot, totally frozen? Or does that hot spot, the strongest part of the feeling, actually move around, even just a little? Just by asking this, you start to introduce the idea of change and movement into something that felt totally stuck and permanent.
This next analogy is fantastic. Most of the time, we experience pain like we're in a car facing forward. Everything is coming at us, right? We're just bracing for it. But what if you could just mentally turn around and face backward? All of a sudden, you see each moment of sensation as it comes up and then immediately goes away. It's going past you. There it goes, and there it goes. That simple mental flip can change your whole relationship to what you're feeling.
So when you start asking these kinds of questions, something really amazing starts to happen. You actually begin to deconstruct the whole experience, and you see that pain isn't just one single thing.
Instead, you start to see that it's made up of at least 4 different parts. You've got the physical elements in the body, things like heat, pressure, tightness. Then you have the raw sensation of pain itself. You have the awareness that's just noticing all of this. And then, as a separate thing, you have the mental suffering, the whole story you're telling yourself about the pain.
Our minds just instinctively mash all of this together. It gloms it all into this one big, heavy, oppressive package. The skill we're learning here is how to stop doing that, how to see the body, the sensation, the awareness, and the suffering as separate things. And it's in that separation, that's where you find a bit of freedom.
Okay, so this whole technique, it's not just some clever mind hack for dealing with pain. It really points to a much, much bigger goal. It's about fundamentally retraining how your mind works. You know, what was so radical about the Buddha's approach back in the day was how laser-focused it was. I mean, you had other philosophies asking these huge questions about the universe and the soul, but he was zeroed in on something super practical and observable. How does the mind create its own stress, and how can it stop doing that?
So this whole process, observing pain, questioning it, it's all just a training ground. You're teaching your mind to be more skillful, to see cause and effect playing out in real time. And the ultimate goal? It's to find a type of happiness that's unconditioned. A happiness that doesn't depend on whether things are going your way or not. It's a kind of deep well-being that comes from the inside, something you can actually trust no matter what's going on.
And all of this really leaves us with one last huge question. It's maybe the most honest question we can ask in life. If what we all really want is happiness, why are our minds so darn good at creating suffering for ourselves? The answer isn't some quick fix. The answer is found in the journey of looking, in the process of observation itself.